Goyo the Boy General is a 2018 Filipino historical epic directed by Jerrold Tarog and is the sequel to the 2015 film Heneral Luna. Set during the Philippine-American War, it stars Paulo Avelino as Gregorio del Pilar, aka Goyo, a young, self-confident general. After the assassination of General Antonio Luna, Goyo is tasked by the President of the Philippines with purging the army of Luna loyalists. After becoming complacent in a period of time without combat, negotiations with the Americans fall through and Goyo must prepare for hostilities to resume. Compared to other movies of the war genre, Goyo refreshingly matches up. I enjoyed this film. I wouldn't put it on my list of top wartime films, but it makes me excited for Philippine cinema and the positive direction it's going. With 3 times the budget of Heneral Luna, there's an obvious step up in production quality. With Heneral Luna, I felt that production gambled with storytelling implementations to make up for shortcomings in budget. It seemed to largely go on with the feeling of a stage play. And although that isn't inherently a negative for that film, I wouldn't be surprised if someone felt that the eccentricity of it was a bit jarring. In Goyo, the method of storytelling feels familiar. It's much more by the book and it feels like other war films. Nothing seems artistically out of place or unexpected. It could be seen as playing it safe, but I think it's done solidly. The film even shines in some areas. One of my favorite shots is when the film gives you an extended aerial view of the Filipino operation. Not only do you see the magnitude of the film and the expansive effort that went into making it, but you also see a beautiful portion of the Philippines landscape. As part of the story, it visually makes you realize why the characters would be proud and protective of their beloved country. It helps drive the point that the historical sentiments portrayed in the film should be applicable to Filipino society today. I think Goyo is fairly obviously portrayed as a symbol of the Filipino people. His mindset and decisions have outcomes that impact the nation, as it should be so for the citizens at large. It bothered me then that although he's the main character, I didn't feel as if he goes through any significant character development. But it's probably more accurate to say that by the end of the film, he just doesn't complete his development. It serves as a valid warning then against complacency and its consequences. But I would have hoped that the characterization of Goyo was a bit more compelling while making that point. The first half of the movie builds him to be almost predictable. You'll hear of his exploits rather than actually witness them. He regularly starts to experience internal struggles related to the looming idea of death, but they don't appear to create any lasting or impactful adversity for Goyo. They don't affect his performance much as a general or as a womanizer. There isn't much incentive then to support or relate to whatever challenge he may face. Another element I didn't find particularly strong was the romantic element. Again, I didn't have much investment into this aspect of the film because I didn't feel there was much at stake. They don't advance the relationship between Goyo and his love interest enough to make you care whether it fails. It just feels like they threw in known figures to play up context and check off all the available parts of the history. In general, the first half of the movie is slow and where most of the flaws come up, but the second half more than makes up for it. I've noticed in non-English speaking films that have American roles that they don't often use the best actors. And really, they don't have to be the best, especially when they aren't largely important characters. But any case of bad acting can really affect your opinion of a movie. For Goyo, I was actually impressed by the actors for the American soldiers, who have more screen time in the second half. Despite their relative unimportance compared to the Filipino characters, they're portrayed with a level of depth in which they convey a lot of information with very few lines. The movie didn't resort to relying on disappointing stereotypes to craft these characters. I was heavily invested in a scene where the Americans attempt to advance up a hill, and with very brief communication, they're still able to calmly establish their formations. Rather than blatantly stating how sophisticated they are, their actions are more subtle, which seems to more effectively illustrate how formidable the American army is. Towards the conclusion of the story, I appreciated how the film chose to approach the history's unfortunate outcome. I don't think there was any attempt to aggrandize the characters. Rather, there's a somber tone to ruminate over what becomes of them. And ultimately, it becomes a story in which through dark times, a society can reassess, rediscover, and rekindle a sense of national pride. I give Goyo the Boy General an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching my review of Goyo. Please leave a like and subscribe for more content. Comment below and let me know what you thought about the movie. Until next time.